Anyway, it's a very special honor to be here today at the Bulgarian Embassy. And
Breathe.
and it's an accomplishment to be able to complete a donation today of the material which my father did during the war. It's not pre-war, Mark, it's during the war. It's from 1939, 8-9 to 1942. My father was a very different person. And we are donating all the material I had to the museum, the Holocaust Museum, which Mark taught us is the right place to have things like that, because now they're available to everybody. I don't know how many of you are aware, but although Bulgaria was part of the Axis during the war, they were partners of Germany, so to say, practically all Bulgarian Jews survived, and they were saved thanks to both the Bulgarian parliament and the Bulgarian king. There were about 50,000 Jews in Bulgaria at the beginning of the war, and about 50,000 Jews at the end of the war. Now, this material that you will see a little bit, this is LICCO, by the way, climbing. This traveled film, slides, negatives, and documents all over the world, because when we left Bulgaria in 1948, we were allowed, my father managed to get out legally from Bulgaria without emigrating to Israel, by the way. And we were allowed to take one trunk per person. We were four, my father, my mother, my grandmother, and myself. I was 2 years old. And so we had 4 trunks. And my father decided to put into his trunk all his films and pictures and everything. He thought this was very important. Why he thought that, I have no idea, because for 70 years, almost nobody saw anything of that. Anyway, we left on a passport, which I still have. I didn't think of bringing it, I'm afraid, where there's a picture of my father, my mother, and a baby in between. And there's a big rubber stamp on top of the picture saying, "Good for exit only." That's how we left Bulgaria. We went to Switzerland, because my father was actually very calm with leaving Bulgaria, because before the war in 1936 or something, he was the car dealer in Bulgaria. He was known as Mr. Automobile. And he made a big order to General Motors. He was General Motors dealer of trucks, and sent out in cash, prepaid, $10,000 US, which was a lot of money at that time, and sent a telegram saying, "Hold the shipment." This in 36. So in 48, when we got to Switzerland, he went to General Motors and said, "Look, I'm LICCO. I came to get my money. I don't want the trucks in Bulgaria anymore, please." And they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, but you know, this money came from an enemy country, from Bulgaria, which was part of the Axis. And this was taken away. It's gone." And we never recovered that money, really. Okay? From there we went to Paris, where he had a good friend, and we lodged there. And he tried to, well, now without money, get a visa to somewhere to emigrate, because, you know, his skills were great, but he had to go somewhere. In France, there was no job for a mechanic, and there were too many refugees and so on. And so he tried Argentina, Australia, Canada, Brazil, and the US. And he had a letter from a former boss of my mother's, who invited him for a job. Him and not her, because at that time, women didn't really count much. And you couldn't immigrate to a country because a woman was able to work, but a man, yes. So it wasn't true. My mother went to work there, not my father, but in November 1948, 6 months after we left Bulgaria, we reached Brazil, Sao Paulo, with $80, which were given by a refugee organization, $20 per person, and a lot of will to work. Very soon, took a few years only, both my father and my mother were business people again in Brazil. They even decided to have another child. My brother Max was born, and they were able to bring from Israel my aunt, my father's sister, and my cousin Moritz, who's here, and who, by the way, today is 70 years old because he was born the day the war was over. And so finally he settled and was able to have a reasonably peaceful life. Just to give you an idea what LICCO was, when he turned 70, we decided to do a big joke with him. And as a gift, we gave him a windsurf. And he took it serious. He learned to windsurf with 70 and did this for about 15 years. And after that, he still carried on sailing, and he passed away with 91, but he had a very, very long and nice life. And then the story that Mark told much better than me, that a year ago we were in Aruba, and then this crazy thing happened that we mentioned to Mark that we were taking things to Israel, and he didn't do it the way he said. He said, no, 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 stop! I'll never forget that. And that's how things moved, and he found the contacts here, and he lied to us. He said he had a friend at the museum. He didn't know anybody there. And so we managed to come here last November. We showed there was this thing incredible with the gloves, because a few days before, Ilko and myself were trying to understand if that was the right film. And so we took it out of the can, we opened it up with our bare, dirty hands, and we looked and said, yes, that's the film, and then we couldn't roll it back. And in the end we did, and we put it in the can. And then the story of the many films, you can see a picture outside of the actual rolls of film. And for us it's fantastic because this stuff was all sitting at home in a cardboard box for years and years and years. And 12 years ago, I think my son did something with it. That's why we remembered. But at that time, we had an 8mm projector. That's not Super 8, it's 8. And what happened? The bulb went. And so we couldn't even see the films anymore. But now we all can see them. Well, that's about it. The most important film, of course, is this camp film. And we brought that, and by coincidence, because Ilko managed to put that film together, he found somebody in Manaus who would transfer it to DVD, and I sent him 2 films, that one and one more. And when people at the museum saw the other one, they said, what's that? They said, oh, that's many films that my father used to do. You know, he liked to film. They said, oh, we want that too. So everything is here now. And gradually everything will be put in the internet, right?
It's already on the internet.
It's already, oh, everything.
The labor camp film and the mountaineering.
Yeah, but
the rest is in process.
Yeah, it will be, there's skiing, there's mountaineering, there's dancing, there's all sorts of things they did. And that's it. And there's something very interesting. In the film, there is this bridge. And this bridge is at the place where the film was done. So we thought, my God, we should be able to find the exact place. At the museum, they gave us a hint that it would be in a certain region, and it might be in a village, and I never remember the name, Ilko, Lakatnik, right? And so my other cousin, Ilko's brother, Slavko, went to Lakatnik 2 weeks ago, and he drove along the road, and suddenly he had a picture with him, and suddenly he saw the bridge. And so he took a picture. And there we are, 74 years later, the same bridge, and if you look between the trees, you can see that building with the tower is there. It's only hidden between trees. The trees grew, and but it's exactly the same spot. And that road is probably what they were building at the time. Okay? Well, that's all I had to tell, and I'm so grateful that all of you are here to commemorate this event, which for our family is just incredible.
And we proceed on with the family testimonies, and I turn it over now to Ilka, who will probably also have to